Hello and welcome to the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. I'm Donald Grodoff, Behavior Transformation Specialist and Mindful Liberator with Focused Healthy Family, Family OCD, and Natural Anxiety Disorder Treatment Center. My goal with these podcasts is to bring about awareness about OCD and anxiety disorders. I am not a doctor or a therapist. I'm a specialist helping clients get liberated from OCD and anxiety. The messages here are not necessarily the opinion of myself or my services. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's join that podcast. This podcast was recorded March 20th, 2020. This is podcast number 40, Tips on Dealing with Stress During Virus Scare. So today I wanted to share with you some tips that I've been putting out about how to deal with the stress that comes about because of this coronavirus scare that we're going through. And these are tips that some of them are common sense things that you probably already know, but I wanted to bring them up anyway. So let's start with number one. The very first thing is breathing. And what I wanted to introduce to you is a breathing method called 478. It's something I learned from Dr. Wiles. And the way it works is it's taking in a deep breath through your nose for a count of 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding it in for a count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then letting it out really slow through your mouth for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this method it really helps us to, breathing is an involuntary process of our body. And what we really want to do is practice this 478 method to slowly change our involuntary process to make it better, deeper breaths that we're taking. So breathing can really play a big role in anxiety and getting the passageways opened up, getting the oxygen to the brain and to the body are extremely important. The next thing I want to talk about is drinking water. It's very important to stay hydrated. Dehydration can also cause a lot of physical issues, but also can cause a lot of heavy-duty anxiety. And so we want to keep hydrated, keep our body liquid so our immune system is strong and it can fight things that come along. The third thing I want to talk about, and I'm a little prejudiced on this, is the process of tapping, the EFT, the Emotional Freedom Techniques tapping process that I actually work with and teach. It is very helpful in bringing down stress, and during this time of crisis like this, there is a lot of stress in the world, and we really want to be able to minimize that and bring that stress down. And the tapping can do that. And in the tapping, if you want to know the process, the pattern, then you can go to my site, focusedhealthyfamily.com. So focused with an ED, healthyfamily.com. And on there you can find the pattern of how to tap and some tips up there. But you really want to work on what the negative messages are. What are you saying about yourself, about the situation that's going on? And what does it get down to that I message? What am I saying about myself about this virus? What am I saying about myself about a situation or a person? And work through that. The next thing I want to talk about is something, again, it's a little simpler, but you may not know about it. It's called grounding. It's getting outside and touching the earth, whether it be with your hands or with your feet, and really working on drawing into yourself the energy of the earth, but also it allows you to get the bacteria and the germs and the stuff that the earth has that really help your immune system build and strengthen. So getting out there, I know what I do a lot of times with my own kids is when they're in the worst of it, when they're really having a tough time, is I'll get them out there barefoot and let them run in the yard. And what happens a lot of times, within minutes, I see that anxiety coming down. So grounding can be really important. Getting outside, getting the sunshine, getting the all the energy and benefits of the earth can be of great importance right now. Um, so the next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a little tougher, this is, I call it acceptance and awareness, is really being able to accept the feelings we're having. If we're scared, is to understand that we are, not to push it down, not to push it away, but to accept it, because it's in accepting it and becoming aware of how you're feeling is when you can actually change how you're feeling. So it's really important, and it sounds kind of out there, but it's really, I feel scared right now. I'm going to allow myself to feel scared, and I'm going to work through it and try to dig into what is it about being scared that's really driving me? What's underneath it? What are the feelings behind it? That's what you have to dig into. The next thing I wanted to talk about is balancing yourself with the news and with the internet. Uh, I don't believe in burying your head in the sand, but at the same time, I don't want you to be able to get hooked into a 24/7 watch of the news where you're catching every report, every bit of news that's being put out there 24/7. There has to be a fine balance there, where you give yourself time to be to get the news, to find out, because you want to be able to be informed, to be prepared, but you don't want to get so wrapped that it just causes you so much stress. So being able to give yourself one or two times, maybe three times a day, to where you look at the news and kind of get what's going on, or you look at the internet, but don't get so wrapped into it. Because what's out there can not always be the truth, and also can be very scary and very hard to deal with. And you really want to take it in small bites. And then, lastly, I'd like to kind of reiterate on some of the things about talking to kids during this crisis. And I know I did one last month talking to kids specifically on OCD, but here I just want to recap some things that are very important about this, because kids take this in, that kids' traumas and dramas are much more severe and have much more long-lasting effects than we can ever imagine. Their traumas are much different than our adult traumas. And so being able to talk to them and listen to what's going on, to address and understand their feelings, is extremely important. So when they come at you with the, oh my God, we're going to die, or oh my God, we're going to get sick, or are we going to get sick, is the world going to end, or whatever the trauma that they may be going through that they approach you with, is being able to respond versus react. And by that I mean responding being one that you're calm and that you don't, one, try to fix it, two, you don't put down their feelings. You don't tell them, don't feel that. You're not scared. There's no reason to be scared. That's stupid. You don't want to do that. The other big thing is don't tell them to calm down, because that doesn't work. That really doesn't work. In fact, it most times flares it up even worse. So how do you respond? What is the best method for responding? And a lot of what I do comes out of a book that my wife and I believe in very strongly. It's called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. And in there, one of the biggest points they make is listening to their feelings, understanding their feelings, and not pushing them off. And so what you do in response to them, this is just one example of how to respond to them, is to be able to go, they come at you with are we going to die? Are we going to get sick? Oh my God, I'm just that, and then just all in your face, is to be able to kind of step back and go, wow, you really are scared, or wow, you're really having some tough feelings right now. And then just basically to say to them, what, tell me more about it. I really want to understand all that's going on for you. And let them go through it and just listen. Be quiet and listen. And what we have found in our own personal life and in the work I do is that a lot of times when you just give them the attention and listen to them, it really resolves itself, or they resolve it. And that's really what you really want them to do, is be able to resolve it within themselves. And what you can do then, too, is once you've asked them to tell you more, listen to what they say and be able to really just kind of almost verbatim put it back to them. So you're telling me that it's really about that blah, blah, blah. And then said, is there anything else? And just kind of keep, and then once they've said there isn't anything else, then you can address, wow, now I can understand why you're so scared, and you must really be feeling frightened and upset over this. And just really, and it gets you to a place where you can then say, that a lot of times we've had it happen where they say, yes, it's much better, thank you, and they walk away. But you can also at that point be able to say to them, so what could you do, or what could I help you do to calm this down or to help this? But not try to offer anything unless they ask you to. And then one other point I might make with this is to really be in touch with yourself, in touch with how you're feeling about it. Because I promise you, whatever you're feeling is going out to your whole family or going out to people around you. So it's like what I do in the first thing in the morning is to be able to get in touch with myself and say, what's going on? How do I feel? And then that allows me then to know how I might need to handle that during the day. So we all just want to feel safe. And a lot of times listening and accepting feelings and dealing with the feelings can really help somebody feel safer. So I hope that has helped you, and I want to leave it at that. And this concludes this podcast. We really would appreciate your comments. Simply leave a comment at www.invisiblewheelchair.com. There, you're able to submit a comment that will help us determine future podcasts. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please email Don at invisiblewheelchair.com. Remember, there is a corresponding tapping recording for each of the podcasts, with the exception of the interview podcast. You can find these tapping recordings and archive past podcasts at www.invisiblewheelchair.com. Finally, there is relief for OCD, and we at FamilyOCD.com and FocusedHealthyFamily.com can help you find that relief. Again, you can contact us through those sites, FamilyOCD.com or FocusedHealthyFamily.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at InvisibleWheel1, that's the number 1, or at FamilyOCD. So thank you for listening. Keep tapping and transcending your life to new heights.